The Ford Everest XLT 4x2 is a vehicle designed to conquer both city streets and off-road trails. Today, we're going to be answering two questions. A, does it actually do that? And B, is this the one to have over its more powerful sibling, the V6 Platinum, considering a nearly 400,000 Rand price difference? So without further ado, let's get started. I've been living with the Everest for a few days now, but this is not a test car from Ford. In fact, I'm in the market for an SUV myself, and Ford Fourways has been kind enough to lend me this vehicle, but I had to pre-qualify for it first. Otherwise, anyone who's anyone can walk up to a dealership, ask for a car, and go on a joyride. So it only makes sense this way. From the first glance, there are telltale signs that this is an American SUV with its boxy shape. It's big, it's imposing, and certainly exudes strength and sophistication with those beautiful C-clamp headlamps. But it's 2025, guys, and those halogen indicators are certainly not befitting for a car of this magnitude. As we walk around, immediately we notice that the XLT is finished in this striking aluminium metallic paint color, which absolutely pops in the sun. Unfortunately, Johannesburg weather has been cloudy and raining over the past couple of weeks, and that kind of weather doesn't do justice to this paint at all. It comes with 18-inch alloy wheels as standard and a pretty usable ground clearance of 225mm, irrespective of the trim level that you go for. What I love about the Everest is that it has no optional extras apart from the service plan, which we'll speak about later. So the XLT, Sport, Wildtrak, and the Platinum come standard with all the bells and whistles that have been assigned to each respective trim. Side note, I'm well over 100 kilograms and this side step doesn't even flinch. It really feels like it'll last you a lifetime. Underneath the Everest is where you'll find the spare wheel. Ford has also thrown in a tow bar as standard on the XLT with a brake towing capacity of 3.5 tons. You even get blind spot monitoring as standard. The boot is cavernous and boasts 898 liters with the third row of seats folded flat. And to those Americans who may come across this video, the answer is yes. This is how the rest of the world spells the word liters. To unfold the third row is a manual exercise in the XLT, unlike the Platinum where there would be a button on the right side wall of the boot. With the third row up, you still get a decent 259 liters, which is suitable for very small bags. You also get underfloor storage for your jack, emergency triangle, and any other tools as may be necessary. Now, 898 liters is just a number, but what does it actually look like in the real world? Well, this is how. Furthermore, you still have a bit of space next to and in front of the suitcases to push in a baby stroller or whatever else that you need for your vacation. Step inside the rear and you'll find that it is well appointed back here. The rear seats come as standard with leatherette, but it's not the Napa leather that you get in the V6 Platinum. You also get a center armrest back here with two cup holders. And needless to say that if the rear has leather, then the front has the same. Your rear occupants have access to two USB ports and can control their own air vents using this knob. The actual air vents, however, are on the roof. But cold air directly to the top of your head seems like flu waiting to happen. The rear bench also slides backwards and forwards and reclines too. The third row of seats should be fine for small children. Adults, on the other hand, look ridiculous back there. It's so low to the ground it feels like you're in the fetal position. For your 1 million Rand, you get electrically adjustable front seats, which is more than I can say about some cars that cost about the same. This should be declared an act of terrorism. The front seats are well appointed with 4 cup holders, 1 near the passenger's door, 1 near the driver's door, and 2 in the center console. The cabin feels premium and inviting, and I could spend hours in here. It still looks modern and futuristic, even 2 years after its launch, which says a lot about the competition in this segment. The attention to detail is evident, from the soft touch materials to the well laid out controls. Ford's Sync 4 system makes connectivity seamless with Apple CarPlay and Android Auto, both of which are wireless. What I also appreciate is that although the infotainment system has a massive tablet-style 12-inch display, you still get physical volume and aircon dials, which feels like a novelty these days. Other features that you get up front include a double cubbyhole or glove box, which are of a decent size. Some storage for your sunglasses. Very nice and nostalgic. And you will find additional storage under the armrest with a 12-volt socket. Lastly, you get a wireless charger and 2 USB ports. Nobody can say they cannot charge their phone in this car. Regrettably, there's no sunroof on the XLT and you don't get black roof lining. Apart from that though, there are some cheap feeling and hard plastics in certain areas in the cabin. But it's not all doom and gloom. Overall, I'm happy with this cabin and would rather be sitting in here than some of the competition. The Isuzu MU-X and Toyota Fortuner look like they were made in 2005 next to this. Under the bonnet, the Everest XLT is powered by a 2-liter bi-turbo diesel engine producing 154 kilowatts and 500 newton meters of torque. It's paired with a 10-speed automatic transmission, which I initially thought I was going to hate, but it actually delivers seamless shifts. And there you have it. Build Ford tough. Now 500 newton meters is nothing to scoff at. And because the 4x2 drivetrain is essentially rear-wheel drive, it makes for an amusing drive. If you turn out of a junction under hard acceleration, it will allow the rear to slip for a split second. So let's take it out on the road and actually talk about how it feels to live with this car as a daily, as I've been doing for the past couple of days. But first, some spirited driving. The ride comfort is impeccable and it glides beautifully over bumps and road imperfections, which is something you need for the potholes that are in and around Johannesburg. And jumping straight out of a 3 Series into this, you immediately notice that the steering wheel is not as direct and you require a lot of steering input to make the vehicle change direction. Not that I'm comparing this to the 3 Series, but it's just some of the things that I'm noticing as I drive the vehicles back to back. Man, I don't know about you, but I could listen to that diesel grunt all day long. However, like any other car out there, it does have its fair share of problems and quirks, which I really want us to get into. For starters, it measures over 4.9 meters in length, probably over 5 meters with the tow bar. So it is a big vehicle, and having the Everest side by side with the 3 Series in the garage is a bit of a tight squeeze. Fortunately, it comes with a reverse camera as standard with high-resolution graphics. Now, if you're wondering what I was doing at the Porsche Center, then don't forget to like the video and hit the subscribe button. I'm cooking something for you guys, but more on that on another video. The other issue is that its turning circle is virtually non-existent, With the steering wheel fully locked, you cannot make a U-turn in a single turn. So it's not as nippy around town as I would have loved it to be. My headgear's at home, guys. Excuse the one-hand maneuvering. Fuel consumption is terrible in town. I was averaging 12.7 liters to the 100 under frugal acceleration. But then again, when I got this car, it had only 500 kilometers on the clock, so the engine still needed to be broken into. However, we took it on a road trip to Sun City and we were able to get it close to the claimed figure of 7.6 liters to the 100. That video will be uploaded in due course. Lastly, because this is a bakkie-based SUV, it follows a ladder-on-frame design, which means that cabin space for rear occupants is slightly compromised. A unibody SUV such as a BMW X5 or a Mercedes-Benz GLE is better off for carrying rear occupants. I mean, I'm 1.78 meters tall and sitting behind my driving position, my knees touch the front seat. To be fair though, all the problems I've spoken about are not unique to the Everest. In fact, all bakkie-based SUVs suffer from the same ills by design. Now, all the things that make this car unsuitable for everyday driving are the exact same things that make it excellent off-road. This is where it belongs. Even as a 4x2, the ground clearance makes driving on a road such as this one a breeze. Honestly think the XLT is the sweet spot for someone who doesn't need all the capabilities of a 4x4, but who still wants to have a 7-seater that has the ability to go off-road. However, this is strictly an adventure SUV, so unless you already have a second car to use as a daily, the Everest is not the car for you. I mean, you can daily it if you really have to, but you'll cry tears. You'll cry tears. Just trust me on that one. Finally then, to answer the question, should you save yourself 400,000 rands and get the XLT instead, as opposed to the V6 Platinum, I would say it depends squarely on what you'll be using the car for. Admittedly, the Platinum is more desirable. But if you're not camping off the beaten track every other weekend, you might be underutilizing it. Because it's not that great as a daily, and so you're not going to be using it for anything else. The XLT 4x2 kicks off at 942,000 rands, excluding a service plan, which comes in at an additional 13,500 rands for a 4-year 60,000 kilometer plan. But if you know how to negotiate, the dealer may be able to include this free of charge. The Everest also comes with a 4-year 120,000 kilometer warranty. So if you were to finance this car at the current prime interest rate of 11% per annum with no deposit, no balloon payment over 72 months, your monthly installment would be 18,022 rands. Insurance is risk profile dependent and the cheapest quote I got was 1,900 rands, but the excess was ridiculously high. So the sweet spot for someone with my risk appetite would be a premium of 2,500, which lowers the excess down to 5,000 rands. The cost of diesel inland is in front of your screen for the 76-liter tank, which brings the total cost of ownership to 22,134 rands. Honestly, it's quite a lot of car for the money, especially considering that German hatchbacks cost more than that these days. It comes with 18-inch Goodyear Wrangler highway terrain tires. You can also get all-terrain tires for the prices you're seeing on your screen. Before buying any brand new tires though, I would recommend picking up the phone and calling a few places to find out what specials they are running. You might be surprised, which is exactly what we did.
Good day.
Good day, how are you?
Fine, and you?
Fantastic. Listen man, I'm looking for a Goodyear Wrangler tire.
What size?
255, 65, R18.
I've got, how many are you looking for?
Just one.
I've got them on special as well, though, so I can do it for you at 2-1, eh?
2,100.
Correct.
Okay. Sounds good. Thank you so much. And there you have it, not bad at all. In closing, shout out to Ford Fourways for lending me this car. It has been absolutely phenomenal. And whether I buy an Everest or not, let's send business their way. If you're in the market for a brand new Ford, reach out to Voter and John. They'll take care of you. Next week, we will be uploading the road trip to Sun City, so stay tuned. Don't forget to like, comment, share, and subscribe. Until next time, take care.